Ever since I was a small child, I've always had this obsession with cars. Probably due to the fact that my dad was a mechanic. Just something about cars wowed me, amazed me, fascinated me. I remember it like it was yesterday when I saw Jacksepticeye play BeamNG.drive. In that very moment, I fell in love with this game. But something was different back then. Back then, it was all about crash physics, the destruction of cars. How you could crash the same car over and over and over again. How real it looked, how real it sounded. How at certain speeds the car crumpled like a tin can. How every little piece had its braking sound and its look. You could see and feel that the car wasn't just one big piece of metal like in other games. You could see every wheel, rim, radiator, brake disc, headlight, pedal and button break off from the car. The thing that gave BeamNG such a satisfaction was the fact that you've never seen cars crash like this. Like, let's be real, no one has ever seen a drag version pigeon go down a giant ramp into a sandpit. And if you say that you have, you're lying. But as I grew older, I started to understand that crashes aren't the only thing that made BeamNG so unique. The physics gave the game such realism that it didn't feel like an arcade game. And that made things fun. One of those things is drifting. Everything had to be calculated. One small move and your car is totaled and you'll look like this. I absolutely love how every car behaves differently, how drifting with rear or front wheel drive actually matters. The car that you're seeing is probably 1 in a million because the options to make your car superb are endless. And although I'm not the best at it, it makes me feel rewarded doing that one corner perfectly. I love that after multiple tries, you can finally understand the car and you can feel it out perfectly. That's the game's way of rewarding you, and it makes you feel happy. But what if you don't know how to mod a car or how to make it drift? No problem, just take any car and start spinning it on the track. That's the beauty of cars, and this game displays it correctly. It doesn't matter of the car's age, looks, or condition. You can still drift it around the corner, kicking dust or rubber in the air. And even after multiple failed attempts, you will have that one magical try, and you will feel so happy. And the BeamNG community is so awesome. The car that I'm currently driving isn't even by the developers. It's a mod made by a BeamNG member. It's crazy to me how big of a difference there is between this car and the previous ones. You can only know it by playing it yourself. But now let's talk about something completely different to drifting. Something dirtier, slower, more painful, and challenging. Off-roading. Something that every man has wanted to do. Just take any car once again and just spin it. It's a simple formula. Drive it, beat it, kill it, do it all. Or you could just take one of the game's off-road trucks, which is literally meant for this. They climb over obstacles like it's nothing. These kind of trucks really show off how much effort BeamNG developers put in their game. Because of the game's realistic physics, you can't just take a street car and push it through sands and dunes, because you will break your car into oblivion. But what you can do is take a trophy truck, which quite literally flies over these dunes. Or go crazy and take the off-road buggy wherever your heart says to go. The buggy will face everything and fears nothing. Oh, and can we also talk about the suspension on these cars in this game? Everything is a physical object, just like in real life. Every piece moves due to movement, and every piece has its significance. For these trucks particularly, you have tire deformation, shock absorption, and some cool ass looks. Off-roading is fun, and it really shows you how much patience you have. Yes, you could soar in the air, but just one wrong move and you're off the road. If you have the skills, there's a way to save yourself, but in most cases you will meet the same fate. Crashing, rolling, tumbling, bending, scratching, and everything. Everything happened because you made one mistake. All progress lost because of one mistake. I've heard this before. Audibly, you can hear the turbo and its whistle, the exhaust and its backfires, the tire and its thrown gravel. On top of all that, the engine itself constantly reaching maximum revs. Visually, you can see a car fly, go on roads that it shouldn't, whiz by objects, the suspension, jumping up and down, up and down, up and down, the steering wheel constantly shifting from one side to another, the car sliding in corners at maximum speed, gravel, rocks and sand being shot in the air like bullets, and emotionally you feel adrenaline, stress, anxiety, and excitement. That's what rally is. It's one of those things you can either experience in real life or a really good simulator like BeamNG.drive. Only in BeamNG will you be afraid to push your car to its limits, going 150 kilometers an hour on the bumpy terrain, knowing that one rock bump will send you in the next closest river. But at the same time, you forget about those things because you're still celebrating that one corner that you drove perfectly. BeamNG punishes you for imperfections. It makes you strive for perfection. This game isn't an arcade experience. It's a whole challenge. A really rewarding challenge. I cannot tell you how many times I've played one mission trying to complete it with 0 mistakes. Too many. But that's what the game does. It sucks you in. It makes you dedicated for a goal because the goal seems so unreachable that getting it will feel like you've done the impossible. For example, flying in the middle of the night on a car-ride road with the pedal to the floor, not seeing what's in front of you with only the headlights illuminating the road. You will want to pat yourself on the back. And don't forget, you can also rally on asphalt with the tires getting extra grip. Rally cars and the ones BeamNG have made make you immersed in that speed to the point where you completely forget everything and realize that you're flying head first into a ditch. And again, you can see that all progress is lost because of one mistake. Are you beginning to see the pattern here? Now let's keep the subject of speed relevant. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you hear the words speed, cars, and mountains? Hill climb. It is something that I found out about from BeamNG.drive itself. But when I was driving these cars, I was so confused on how they stayed so glued to the ground. Big spoiler warning, it's that huge thing on the back of those cars and the front. And for example, if you don't have that front bit, you'll lose all airflow and you will end up like this. You could say that hill climb is a more tame version of rally, but really it's like rally and GT racing had a baby, but it somehow feels different. In hill climb, the cars have immense power, just like in rally, where again, you tend to lose the ability to understand how fast you're really going. But it feels good. It's like driving an F1 car, but if it was actually meant for humans. The sounds these cars make are almost one-to-one to that of real life. These type of cars require skill, and the more you screw around, the more you will find out. I feel like a broken disc just repeating myself, but just like any campaign in this game, it will give you that adrenaline rush, which in most cases will probably lead you to crashing and starting over. All because of one mistake. Yet again, one mistake. You do see the pattern, right? Good old campaigns. This game has so many campaigns. The list is almost endless. Maybe you want to take your car with no battery and roll down as far as you can on Italy's mountains. Or maybe you want to experience the 80s all over again. Or maybe you just want to experience the retro wave style and drive your car as fast as you can as if it was Trackmania. Maybe you want to be a NASCAR driver where all you do is turn left at 220 kilometers an hour. Cause that's fun. Maybe you want to play in a demolition derby with your friends, but then remember that you have no friends. Maybe you want to experience the car culture and drive a lowrider with its hydraulics and then be fascinated by how the car bounces as if it was a robot. Maybe you want to see a speed demon fly off a car jump arena and then crumble like a tin can on impact. Or maybe you want to see what happens when you throw an F1 car off a car jump arena and then see how the aerodynamics of the formula changes its course. Or maybe you just want to roleplay and just drive around the city in a suburban car while just obeying the law. This game isn't perfect. The fire and explosion in this game are mid to say the least. The day and night cycles seem too unrealistic to the point that 5 PM is sunny and 6 PM is pitch black. The gravel and sand dust clouds also seem unrealistic, but you have to remember that at the time of this recording, this game is in alpha version 0.27. There is still a long time before this game is finished, and when it is, I can guarantee it will be the most realistic car game ever. And finally, the last campaign, the most popular one out of all of them, the third most watched motorsport in the world, and would you guess it, you can play it in BeamNG.drive.
I called the ghost.
Racing, one of the most competitive motorsports there is. The car's weight is cut to the minimum, the engines tuned to their limits, straight cut gears being the music to your ears. Something so thrilling that people want to experience it so much they even buy dedicated gear to immerse themselves, and BeamNG helps with that immersion. I don't know much about racing, so I should suggest these YouTubers for you to watch about more information. But what I can say is speed, speed, and speed. Drive like there's no tomorrow, even if that means cutting the lines and sometimes driving on the grass. If you're told to stay on the track, you stay on the track because you know what the game will do to you if you don't. But you might be asking yourself, is there any variation in these campaigns? Well, I'm glad you asked because BeamNG has a plethora of cars to choose from. From old tuned cars with spoilers, to full-blown competitive cars, to highly modded hatchbacks, to even F1 cars on these tracks, to something older and tamer, and the same car in the newer generation. The options are quite endless due to the fact that every part on your race car can be modified to your heart's desire, from the suspension stiffness, the camber of the wheels, to even the toe of the wheels. BeamNG has a multiplayer mod, which means that you can race and compete with your friends for the best times in the best cars while fully enjoying the process. Or make it easier on yourself and drive alone, having the whole track to yourself with having a small room of error. But don't forget, one mistake makes you lose all the progress. I love this game so much, and there's still so much that I want to say, but I can't squeeze in this video. If you can, please just play this game. It's a really unique experience that I think everyone should enjoy. I don't want to brag on for too long, so just simply enjoy the tribute I made for this game.
It's what non-car people don't get. They see all cars as just 1.5 tons, 2 tons of wires, glass, metal and rubber. That's all they see.
To some, they're just transport. A convenient alternative to highly flammable dirigibles or walking. But you understand, cars are far more than this. They are our history. They mark the moments by which we define decades. Cars are some of the most intoxicating, most beautiful things ever forged by mankind. They represent the glory of technology, the essence of freedom, and have been the weapons in some of our most gripping sporting battles. They grip us, they cheer us on, they hold us up as heroes. So this is about the love of all things four-wheeled and fast.
You're not scared, you're not going fast.
I say, men love women. Even more than that, men love cars.
Winning is one thing, but out of losing, I always learned more.
That day, I suddenly realized that I was no longer driving it conscious. You should know that by being a racing driver, you are under risk all the time. And by being a racing driver means you are racing with other people. And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
There's a point, 7,000 RPM, where everything fades. The machine becomes weightless, just disappears. And all that's left is a body moving through space and time. 7,000 RPM. That's where you meet it. You feel it coming, creeps up on you close in your ear. I ask you a question, the only question that matters. Who are you?
And yet, there is hope. There is a safe haven. A place where we are free to challenge conventions, push the laws of physics and drive our powerful, our beautiful machines. It's not a racetrack in Germany or even a highway in Montana. It's not even a real place, actually. It's more than that. It's a communal celebration of horsepower, torque, grip, leather, technology, beauty. It is the last bastion of automotive lust. And it's right there